What's happening, everybody? The best week of the year has arrived. The Fedex St. Jude Championship begins in Memphis this weekend. We'll get into the upcoming week with the tournament's newest ambassador, Jessica Benson of Grind City Media. Plus, Ja Morant's Make Them Watch tour did just that. Everybody was watching. We'll talk about the Guards week in Asia. And Memphis football will have a new quarterback in 2025. Brendan Lewis sits down with us to discuss why the job should belong to him as he engages in the QB competition. The 24th floor starts right now. Joining me on the show today, the one and only Jessica Benson, host of the Jessica Benson Show featuring CJ Hurt on Grind City Media. You can catch her Monday through Friday, bright and early at 8 a.m. on YouTube. You can also catch her on TikTok at JB Jams. Jessica, part of your lore, so to speak, is that you were a high school golfer. Back in 2009,
My lore.
Colorado High School Activities Association 5A state tournament, you placed top 62 on a two-day tournament. Does that make you uniquely qualified to partner with the Fedex St. Jude Championship, or, are my facts straight on that one?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really happy that you went for the 2009 state championship and not the 2010 state championship, where I notoriously melted down and hit the ball in the water 7 times in a row on one hole and had perhaps the most devastating round of golf of my life, a round so devastating that I actually retired from the sport, unofficially retired from the sport, and up until just a few years ago have finally climbed out of the devastation of what it meant to be a competitive golfer. But shout out to you for looking into the CHSAA archives, and that junior year was a little bit better. I was very proud to make the state championship that year, and I was never great. I was just happy to break 100. That's how I always looked at it. And at least for one time, I broke 100 in the state championship.
That response is better than anything I could have imagined. 7 times. It's in a water.
7 times. I got to the green, and I'll never forget first of all, golf tournaments were stressful for me because my divorced parents would both come. They're wonderfully supportive, but they don't spend a lot of time with each other post-divorce. And so they would have to walk together behind me. And I just remember looking at both of them, just like whispering nervously to one another. And I got to the green, and I don't know what came over me, but I just did a cartwheel. Like, I was like so uncomfortable with how badly I was doing that I just busted out a cartwheel to be like, it's okay, we can all laugh about this. I'm a clown. I absolutely am atrocious in this moment. But yeah, I was like, you can just name me Miss Congeniality of the 2010 CHSAA golf tournament. But no, it does not make me qualified. I do at least have a history of holding a golf club and playing golf occasionally. But I love how you called me an ambassador. That's way more official than anything I could have come up with. But that sounds really great and really important. So we'll stick with that.
What a beautiful way to get into our big idea of the day. The Fedex St. Jude Championship begins this week at TPC Southwind in Memphis, marking the first round of the FedEx Cup playoff. Top 70 golfers will be in Memphis fighting for a spot in the top 50 and a ticket to advance to the BMW Championship the following week. Hideki Matsuyama, the defending FedEx St. Jude Championship. I say top 70, it'll actually be the top 69 because they're your FedEx Cup playoffs top 10. Scotty Scheffler, the best in the world right now, had a strong comeback effort in the St. Jude Championship last year, but noticeably missing from this year's tournament is one Rory McIlroy, the world number 2, who is opting to skip this year's tournament, mostly because he doesn't really need to play in it in order to advance to the next round. Came in 68th in 2025. Jessica, you've been doing a lot of promo for the championship, as we've discussed. I'm going to call you the ambassador because I just think it sounds really cool. I know you've been in Memphis, 7 years now? 8? Is this year 8 for you?
8. Year 8.
What makes this week special in Memphis, the FedEx St. Jude Championship?
Yeah, it's so funny because I've had the opportunity to evolve in how I've consumed the golf tournament. And like when I first got here, it was the FedEx St. Jude Classic. And then we had the time period where it was the World Golf Championship, FedEx St. Jude Invitational. And now we're into the place in the FedEx Cup playoffs with the FedEx St. Jude Championship. And so, like, whatever you call it, a lot of people colloquially, locally will just say, oh, it's golf tournament week in Memphis. And I do think that's kind of representative of why it can be so fun to go, even if you don't have the credentials to be an ambassador for the tournament or whatever it may be. You don't have to have ever watched any golf in your life to have a good time. And when I first moved here in 2016, my first tournament ended up being 2017 because I got here in August of 2016. But I just remember being so excited to have this big sporting event that brought some of the best golfers in the world at the time and brought everybody together in the dead of summer. And I know it's hot, but it is that period of starvation in sports where unless you're a diehard baseball fan, and we've got WNBA action picking up, but you don't have the football season going. You've been without the NBA and the Grizzlies and the Tigers for a minute now. And so the golf tournament has always kind of presented itself as a fun get back into a really passionate sports week in the city. And so whether you're going for the golf itself, where you can get ridiculously close to these golfers. And I remember, covering the tournament when I used to work where you're sitting now at the time, Local 24. It was always fun to see so many kids come out and get handshakes and get balls signed and have the interactions with the various golfers who were here. But then also to see people who like really didn't care about the golf and were there for the party element or eating. There's great food opportunities, always great places to drink along the course. Now that I have entered this place where I don't have to work the tournament, I can experience it from the more party side element, the social part of it, I should say. And that's really fun too. So it just really provides a great opportunity for, a wide variety of people to come together, and it's an awesome community event.
Yeah, I love that you don't necessarily have to sweat your tail off sitting
Me
on
too.
hole 1 or hole 9 or hole 18, as many of the local
I was
sports anchors will
9.
do this week. Hey, but
My
you've
spot
done
was the ninth hill. I was on
was
that
the
hill
ninth hill,
behind the
yeah,
green, and I sat on that hill, and I could go back and forth between the ninth hill and the
the media
interview
tent.
space. So
Yeah.
once people started coming in, then I could like jump back and forth between the two. But yeah, please respect your local news and local sports reporters this week because it is one of the more challenge. It was always very fun to cover, but in the heat and with the hours you put in, it is a more challenging experience for them.
Yes, it is an incredibly satisfying week when you get to the end of it and realize you've covered a golf tournament for 3 days or so. But again, this is one of the really cool aspects of being a Memphian because not every city in America is going to get a stop on the PGA Tour, right? And while Memphis is a uniquely basketball city, for them to have Scotty Scheffler come into town. Rory McIlroy won't be here this year, but he's been here before. Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, all those guys come in and compete for a championship and essentially a spot in the next round of the Fedex Cup playoff is really cool to see because you can really see the competitive fire come out in a lot of these guys. For those Memphians who are golf fans, Jessica makes an excellent point that you can be right next to some of those guys. I remember Rory McIlroy had to hit one out of the trees on hole 9, I think it was last year or the year before. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's circled around with a whole bunch of people all watching him kind of square these things up between the trees. And so it's a really cool week, something fun to experience, even if you're not a golf fan. And a lot of cool stories come out of the golf tournament every year as well. One that I got a couple that I can think of that are just fun to do. So for you, you're kind of acting as an ambassador this year, Jessica. What are some of the cool things that are coming that maybe we haven't seen before? I know you've got a chance to kind of peek behind the curtain before the week started.
Yeah, so they've made some upgrades to the course, and not enough that anyone who's just kind of a casual fan would particularly notice. But for people who have had the opportunity to play the course or who have been out at TPC Southwind, a lot, they would definitely see some of the upgrades. So it'll be fun to see how that presents itself on the broadcast. One of the things I love that they're doing this year on the 14th hole specifically, if a player gets a birdie, they're slashing drink prices to $5 for 5 minutes. So again, trying to promote kind of the social element, the party place of it. But then on the flip side of that too, kids get in free, which is great to present this like family opportunity so that you can make it a family event as well. They're doing partnerships this year with Smackers and Torchies. So those are two new food groups that are coming in this season. But you also still have the old staples of Birdies and Bubbles, and the Andrew Michaels chicken sandwich will be back, which is absolute fire if you've never had it. You have the Hub. They brought in a ton of new clothing partners when it comes to the merchandise tent this year. Merchandise tent has air conditioning. Hub has air conditioning. We love opportunities for air conditioning. But I always hear from people who like are afraid to go out there because it is so hot. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like it's hot. Although today, so much better than it was last week. And maybe these like cooler high to mid 80s will hang on instead of the mid 90s feels like 110 that we experienced just a week ago. But there's a lot of shade on the course. There's a lot of places where you can kind of duck the sun, duck the heat, and you drink water, you drink whatever you want to drink, and you don't, I'm not going to say you don't notice it, but it is survivable to be outside willingly in Memphis in the middle of August. But those are just a couple of the things that they've done to try to help improve the fan experience. And just honestly, being able to have gone as a fan, like I think I've been 3 of the 5 years since I've been out of local news. So this is something that, me and my husband really enjoy every year and anticipate going. And we're bummed when we happen to be out of town and can't go to the golf tournament. And that was the case last year. So we're excited to get back out there. But it really does turn into this just like running into all these people that you don't see all the time, which is such a Memphis experience because we are a schmedium city. But it's nice to catch up with people that you see once a year or that you might not have the opportunity to just see out and about in your normal life. But come golf tournament time, come FedEx St. Jude Championship, you're like, oh, this is so fun. I saw so-and-so, and it was so good to catch up with this person.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we can't lose sight of with this too is just how beneficial it is to the city of Memphis and of course to
Yes.
St. Jude Hospital. I mean, since they started this tournament, I want to say the 60s, 70s, 1970, they've raised over $75 million for cancer research, and to be able to see so many of the golfers actually be able to interact with young golfers who have experienced childhood cancer is something that's really cool, a great story that comes out of that every year. The celebrity golf tournament that comes not to TPC Southwind, but to one of the other golf courses in Collierville, and being able to see the celebrities who have such a heart for childhood cancer research as well is something that's really cool. And it's another one of those things that are very uniquely Memphis that unless you live here, you almost don't, you really can't get it. And of course, we're going to get a ton of visitors this year, as we always do, or excuse me, ton of visitors this week, as we always do every year. And it's always kind of cool to see people get kind of a glimpse of what makes Memphis cool. And I know you've been kind of on your high horse. You've been on your tirade.
My high horse.
Oh, I wouldn't call it high horse. That's not the right word. But
My
you've
soapbox. My
your
soapbox.
shouting from the mountaintops about how great Memphis is. Why do you think this tournament kind of adds to the lore of all that?
Yeah, it's one of those signature events of the city, and you have an opportunity. It's on national television. Fans of golf will tune in, or maybe somebody who has golf on in the background somewhere will see Memphis on their TV this weekend or this upcoming Thursday through Sunday, and that means something. That matters, and somebody could identify it and say, "Hey, like that looks like a really cool place. I want to go there." Or they might mention a food experience they have, or the fact that St. Jude is here is something that I think you can't yell enough from the rooftops. It's one of the most incredible things we have in the country, and it's right here in Memphis, Tennessee. I've been on TikTok. I've been screaming in these TikTok streets about the underratedness of Memphis and how there's so much good in this city. And like, you get it. You've lived here now a handful of years, and for transplants of Memphis who end up falling in love with the city, I just think it's so important to always use your voice to promote the positives, promote the good, promote the fun, because there's so much room for people to speak on the negative. I don't need to do that anymore. That's not my job, never has been. And I would prefer to highlight all of the good that exists here. And the golf tournament, the FedEx St. Jude Championship, is absolutely one of those very good things that comes to this city every year. It has, the great element of St. Jude, the history with FedEx. This will be the first championship or the first golf tournament since the passing of Fred Smith, but his handprints are all over this and all over the city. And it's just an awesome opportunity to remind people of, this I'll say it again, medium-sized city in
Schmedium.
West Tennessee
I wear
that
a lot of
has a
schmedium
ton to
shirts.
offer.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, we'll leave it right there. Coming up, Ja Morant is on a world tour, and we would like to see more. Jessica and I will recap his Make Them Watch tour in Asia. That's coming up next on the other side of the break.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24 Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24 Plus. The 24 Plus TV app, streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24 Plus, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. Those storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
How big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24 Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24 Plus. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24 Plus. Download free on your TV now.
Welcome back. It is no secret that Ja Morant is box office viewing in Memphis and around the NBA, but he's taken his appeal international. The Grizzlies guard just wrapped up his Make Them Watch tour, with the final stop being in the Philippines. Morant has been taking the culture by storm, hooping and inspiring the next generation of hoopers with this tour. The Make Them Watch tour has made stops in Augusta, Georgia at EYBL Peach Jam, New York City, China, Japan, and then finally the Philippines. Back with Jessica Benson of Grind City Media. Jessica, as you've been keeping up with this tour, it is my understanding that you've become something of a cultural icon yourself on this tour, especially in the Philippines. Can you kind of give me some background on what that's all about?
Okay, first you're calling me an ambassador. Now you're calling me a cultural icon. I really appreciate you making my credentials far outweigh.
I'm just here to gas
I'm
you
going to
up,
hire
Jessica.
you to be my PR rep. Thank you.
You know, I've been thinking about other jobs outside of this one, so. Yeah.
There are a ton of basketball fans in the Philippines, which I mean, there's basketball fans everywhere. It's a global sport. But I was unaware of just how passionate the Filipino NBA fan base was until probably around this time last year, when kind of Yuki Kawamura mania started to imprint itself, when he ultimately would go on to get the two-way opportunity with the Grizzlies. And we had a ton of new Japanese fans watching our content on Grind City Media and being attached to the Grizzlies. And suddenly on TikTok around that time, there was a handful of accounts who would regularly tag me in these videos of a basketball player named Kai Soto. And he's from the Philippines, and they were just steadfast that they wanted Kai Soto to be the next two-way player for the Memphis Grizzlies, or at bare minimum get a 10-day contract opportunity with the Grizzlies. And so I would, it became a running bit that every day I would check my TikTok and I would have between 10 and 20 mentions of Kai Soto and my name. And unfortunately, at some point, Kai Soto tears his ACL. And so then there was a change of Filipino future player that they wanted the Grizzlies to look at. And one of those players is Ren Zabando. And funny enough, Ren Zabando played in front of Ja Morant in the Philippines this week and threw down some dunks, and it started going viral because Ja's reaction was, he was impressed. They were good dunks.
Right.
And so it was like this full circle moment of this guy who I've been tagged in many, many TikToks about, suddenly is actually in the presence of Ja Morant, putting on a show in front of Ja Morant, and Ja Morant's responding to him, dabbing him up and all that. And it was just such a funny, I was like, I would have never known who this guy was. Ren Zabando, he's plays in the Korean Basketball League. He was part of, there's a NCAA tournament in the Philippines. Like they have their version of NCAA, but they call it NCAA Philippines, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's NCAA something, and they have a March Madness and they have a tournament. And so he had played for a team that won the championship. He was the MVP. He left school a year early. He signed with the Korean Basketball League. Then that team won whatever like championship that they were up for. And so he's a good player, but he's never had a chance ever to have any time, be it Summer League or G League opportunities. But I think we got to start the movement. Ren Zabondo, give him a shot. I am not the Grizzlies GM. Sometimes I think there's this misconception that I have any power whatsoever of making these kind of decisions. But I appreciate their passion, and it is very fun to be reminded of just various pockets within the world that have real, true, like intense NBA fandom, basketball fandom. And I think we've definitely seen that kind of, to bring it all full circle, in the totality of this Ja Morant tour through China and the Philippines.
I think what's been cool for me to watch is as you see Ja interact with these fans, you watch these events that he's been putting together, it reminds me a lot of two things. Kobe Bryant when he went overseas, and also James Harden, but to a lesser extent, obviously, they used to like worship Kobe Bryant when he would go overseas. And as I'm watching Ja Morant interact with these fans and seeing him kind of engage in the culture and really be like very grassroots version of himself, it reminds me a lot of the cultural impact that we've seen NBA players and NBA stars in particular have overseas. And I think it's been kind of fun to watch Ja, because you can tell that these are very relaxed environments for him, not necessarily something where he's going to have to sit here and answer a bunch of questions about what's going on with the team or anything like that. He can just go enjoy himself, play basketball, and interact with fans who never get a chance to see Ja Morant, live otherwise. And I think it's been really cool to watch him just watch the different videos that come out. And he's obviously taking his Catch 12 Media production company out over there as well. And that's some of the video that we've been showing while we've been talking here. Jessica, what have you thought about just the cultural impact that you've seen Morant have while he's been over there?
He's a global superstar. And you cannot say that about, I'll place it at 90%. I'm bad with math, but whatever percent you want to put on it, it's pretty high. You can't say that about the majority of professional athletes in the United States of America. There just isn't that same reach when it comes to across the globe. And I always go back to a couple of years ago, I, on my honeymoon, traveled to Europe, and I was keeping track of the NBA jerseys that I saw in various, street fairs and small stores that would sell NBA merchandise. And it was always LeBron, Giannis, Steph Curry, Kobe, and Ja Morant. And this was 3 years ago at this point. And so that was really the beginning of him having, his foot in the door of having true international influence. And you just look at the way he plays. Like, he's such a fun player. The highlights are crazy. What do people go crazy for these days? It's Ja. Like, it's something that looks fun and bouncy, and oh my God, how did he do it? And there's a magician element to it, and kids want to be like him, and he has the cultural impact with the shoes, and he does the grenade celebration now, and everybody's doing it around the world. And so it kind of all culminates with this first international tour with Nike, where obviously Nike saw the value in him and set him up to do this, and it all is conjunction with his Ja 3 launching officially on August 5th. But you can have all of that and still not have the kind of like organic turnout that it appears has occurred both in China and Manila, and just hordes of fans so excited to be in the presence of Ja Morant. And there are very few people who get that kind of reaction. And I think it is so unbelievably cool that one of them happens to play for the Memphis Grizzlies, because that also carries over into a representation for the city and a greater knowledge of the city. And maybe there's somebody out there, a kid in China, who had the chance to see Ja this week, and he's like, dang, like, I want to go see Ja play in Memphis. And then that creates, a tourism opportunity and creates a new fan in the Grizzlies for the rest of his life. So all of that stuff matters. But I also will go back to one of the things you said. Ja just looks so happy. Like, I never try to place emotions on someone, because it always feels like a silly game we play when we're trying to identify how someone feels, because you just never know. But God, he looks so carefree. He looks so happy. And I really hope that he's been reminded just how much he means to so many people. And the majority of basketball fans and at least Ja fans, like, truly love this guy and are so excited to root for him and genuinely want nothing but success for him.
So from what I've seen, your colleague, Devin Walker, he's already got himself a pair of Jaw 3s gifted to him. Are we going to see some Jaw 3s on the Jessica Benson show soon, or what's up with that?
I have the ones, and I got a kids pair. Someone put me on because I'm an 8.5 women's, and so I was able to squeeze into a kids pair and get them for a little cheaper, which was a pro tip that I learned. I'm actually trying to get rid of shoes at the moment, Avery. My husband has put a mission by the end of this summer that I'm supposed to get rid of between 7 and 10 pairs of shoes. So if I want to get the Jaw 3s. Yeah, he really put his foot down, and when he put his foot down, there were 10 pairs of shoes littered across our floor that don't have a place because I have too many pairs of shoes. Sure. But I do love the Jaw 3. Like, I love the color schemes for everything and the different colorways. Like, I just think the use of fun, bright, vibrant colors is like so cool. And I'm a sucker for a plain white sneaker, but the Jaws I have are like the pink and baby blue kind of. And if I were to get a pair, I would want some of the bright like pink and oranges.
All right, we'll see. While we're sticking on the topic of international appeal, real quickly, Scottie Pippen Jr. back in town holding a camp for kids in the Memphis community and the Sports and Events Center in Liberty Park last week. Pippen has played most of his career in the state of Tennessee, playing his college ball at Vanderbilt. His first full-fledged contract was with the Grizzlies. Felt it important to give back to kids both here and in Nashville, but like Ja Morant, the Grizzlies will be playing internationally soon as they get 2 games overseas in Berlin and London next year. Here was his reaction to that news and consequently that the Grizzlies would not be playing on MLK Day.
Yeah, I was really excited about it, just seeing that we were able to travel the country playing basketball. I've been to London before, I've never been to Berlin, so I'm excited to go out there and play. I feel like the Grizzlies are still focused on MLK and celebrating his history, so we'll definitely be back next year here playing. I don't feel like we're losing faith in that, so obviously still want to make light of that.
All right, Jessica, we don't have to sit on this very long, but I do want to get your reaction to kind of the mixed reaction from the fan base of having the great part of it being the Grizzlies will be playing in Europe, but also the not so great part of it that they'll be missing MLK Day next year. What have you thought about all of that?
I think Scottie Pippen Jr. put it perfectly. It's this incredible opportunity, and it's an honor for the Grizzlies to be one of the 2 teams chosen, them and the Magic, to go to Berlin, to go to London. The NBA has never done a regular season game in Berlin, so that's an opportunity to get in front of a brand new audience and the chance to go to London, where an NBA team hasn't played since 2019, I think. It's been a while. So the Grizzlies being a part of the NBA's obvious international movement right now is a really cool thing. Like, truly the epitome of a business deal that you just can't pass up. But then on the other side of that, there is still this expectation and understanding the Grizzlies are still going to be doing things to help celebrate MLK Day this year in Memphis. Nothing happens to the holiday. Nothing happens to Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy here. It is one of the most important days in this city due to the historical relevance and everything that comes through Dr. King's legacy. And then also, this game is going to be back, right? Like, this is a 1-year thing. And then the Grizzlies will once again be playing on MLK Day where they belong. And I hope that they're playing there forever. So I certainly understand fans having a difficult time kind of weighing the duality of it, like being so excited for a chance to get on this international stage and make an impact and to carry over on the Ja Morant international relevancy that we were just discussing, but then also a bummer to lose one of those signature days in the city. And to that I say, it's just for this year. And I know that can hurt, but ultimately it will make it feel even more meaningful when it comes back next season.
Yeah, Jessica, we know you are the usual host of the big symposium that happens every year, and I'm sure that's something that you guys will continue to do as well as all the other MLK Day events. I think what we can't overstate enough is that it does seem like they will continue to have festivities that week. It just won't be the game itself, and it seems like everybody's committed to bringing that game back in 2027. Jessica, we appreciate your time and hope you stay cool. Have a great time out there at the Fedex St. Jude Championship. We'll see you out there.
Thanks. See you later.
See you, Jess. Thank you. Coming up, there is a QB battle brewing at the University of Memphis. Brendan Lewis sits down with me to discuss why he should be the Memphis QB this year.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24 Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app. Streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. Those storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
That's how big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24+. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24+. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24+. Download free on your TV now.
The Memphis Tigers are less than a month out from the first game of the year on August 30th. As of Monday, they have not named a starting quarterback. Ryan Silverfield said it is a full-on quarterback competition. Brendan Lewis is a senior transfer from Nevada with the most experience in the room, and he would like to change that. For the first time since 2020, the Memphis Tigers have a question mark at the starting QB position. Seth Hennigan came in and rewrote the Tiger record books as a four-year starter. Since the spring, 3 QBs look to make their own mark as the 2025 starter. That competition has leaked into the fall.
This time, all 3 quarterbacks that are competing for the starting job have a firm and well understanding of this offense.
Brendan Lewis is the resident old head.
Most definitely. I definitely feel like the old head, especially with everybody else being so long. I'm the only person in there that's over 21, which is crazy when you think about it. They call me Unc. I feel like Unc in there.
The 23-year-old is going into his 6th year of college football. 3 seasons at Buffalo before Deion Sanders, 2 seasons at Nevada before landing in Memphis. But as the old adage goes, with age comes wisdom. Lewis has a combined 35 starts to his credit. The rest of the QB room combined, 0.
It helps me play smoothly on the field. It helps me think faster. Like I said, I know where to go with the ball. I know when to get the ball out. If the defense does this, I got to do this. If they do that, I got to do that. And that just comes with playing a lot of games.
It's hard to know what you're going to do on Saturdays in the fall until you're there on Saturdays in the fall. Okay, so he's been there, okay, but he hasn't been there at Memphis. All right, so we got to get him in that situation.
The other quarterbacks vying for the starting job, redshirt sophomore Arrington Maiden and 4-star freshman A.J. Hill. Whether Lewis is named the starter or not, he knows he has a role to play as a guide to his younger teammates.
I feel like it's my job to mentor those guys up because I'm so old. I play a lot of ball, so anytime I see a mistake that they make that I made when I was a freshman in college, I coach them up on it and they fix it.
On the last Saturday in August, when the Tigers take the field for the first time, it may be number 2 taking snaps under center. He just wants to get better every day and have some wins come along with it.
I've just learned a bunch of stuff from each spot I've been in, each person I've met, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I come here and just learn even more and more and more with great coaches and even great teammates.
We're almost ready to put a bow on this show, but before we do, we got to talk about the best thing I saw this week. That's after the break.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC 24 and 24+. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app. Streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. Those storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
How big that storm system was.
On weather impact alert days, stream extended coverage on 24 Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24 Plus. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24 Plus. Download free on your TV now.
The best thing I saw this week, the Major League Baseball is getting creative, playing a baseball game inside of a racetrack. Braves Reds at Bristol Motor Speedway was so cool to see, with the MLB continuing to keep the game relevant by bringing fresh, new ideas. This was incredibly innovative to me. They sold 85,000 tickets to the game, and although the weather did rain on the parade on Saturday night, leading into a rain delay into Sunday, there was still a win for Major League Baseball in terms of interest in this game, and a win for the Braves, 4-2. One damper on the Bristol Motor Speedway game, though, was that they ran out of buns and cheese. So no cheese for the nachos, no buns for the hot dogs. That is something we got to fix in terms of the logistics. That's the show for today. Big old thank you to Jessica Benson for joining. Thanks to Jared Robinson and Richard Denson behind the scenes. We'll be back here next Monday. Until then, I will see you later.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.